So another new week in January, and what does that mean? Another new designer release fragrance coming out. So I ordered this like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago with urgent shipping. So it should have been here in a few days, but they lost it at Carolina Herrera in the warehouse. I had to call them. They finally had to redo the order, send me a new one with the urgent shipping. Then FedEx lost it whenever they got to my area. So it took another 2 days. And so now I finally have it. So we're going to be doing the review. We're going to be doing the unboxing. Still in the actual box. This is Carolina Herrera Bad Boy Elixir. So we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, let's get it. Nudie Magazine Day. Nudie Magazine Day. If you guys haven't seen Billy Madison, then you probably think I'm nuts. But every time I get a brand new fragrance in, I mean, you can't go like fragrance, fragrance. So I always think of Billy Madison. And I think of anytime he gets a brand new nude magazine, he always, Nudie Magazine Day. And so that's the way that I get. I get all giddy whenever a brand new fragrance is coming in. And today we have another one that I'm going to be unboxing out of the unboxing just a second. But it's Bad Boy Elixir. And I just wanted to go and do a little rundown of the line real fast, just to not keep you guys here all day. But before we do, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Again, my name is Randy, aka FragranceDoud, which I usually get to that part right away. Also, hit that like, comment below. Let me know if you're interested in trying out this fragrance. If you like Carolina Herrera, if you like the Bad Boy line, just bullshit with me. With that said, as far as the line breakdown, there's only like 2, maybe 3 fragrances from the line that are really noteworthy. The original, just so you get used to the DNA, the DNA is really that chocolate. It's like a powdered chocolate, and it's mixed together with aromatics and spice. It's kind of like its own DNA. It doesn't smell like anything else really, but then it has this kind of semi-gourmand facet from the chocolate. And that's the original, and the chocolate kind of dissipates in almost every one of them except for the original and the one that came out last year, which is the Extreme, which I'll get to in a second. Moving on to that, to the Parfum, which is the most widely hated one. You'll find like 1 out of 30 or 40 people actually like that fragrance. But it's the one that they added marijuana. It's very weird. I don't really feel like discussing it. It's just an odd fragrance. There's a bunch of limited edition ones. Most of them smell like the original, or an original with like a very, very slight twist. But for the most part, they all do. There is one that came out last year. I know Ross got it. I didn't try it. I don't really care to try it. Then there's the 2 Cobalts. I do own the one. Bad Boy Cobalt has the best opening of almost any designer fragrance. Like literally, it's really good. It's like a blue fragrance mixed together with a fruity plum fragrance, which plum's one of my favorite notes. Picture like 1 Million Lucky, Invictus, Platinum, that kind of plum fruitiness. Mixed together with almost like a slight blue aromatic fragrance. Very, very nice fragrance until you get to the dry down where I feel it gets a bit muddled because that truffle comes in mixed together with a little bit of smoke and aromatics, and it's almost like it gets too earthy. While it does still smell good, it's a nice fragrance. I prefer this one, which I should have brought out the bottle, but it's Bad Boy Cobalt Elixir. Bad Boy Cobalt Elixir. I have a decant sitting right there. That's why I was looking at it. But I have a bottle of that. Bought it last year. It came out last year. It's literally like they fine-tuned the original. They got rid of that crazy, heavy earthiness and replaced it with a little bit more depth and a little bit more sweetness. It's literally just like the Elixir version that you would expect of the original Cobalt. And I think it is fantastic. Up to that point, up to this point, I would say Bad Boy Cobalt Elixir is the best one in the line. You guys can debate me. Most people would say either Cobalt or Cobalt Elixir. For me, it is Cobalt Elixir, and then number 2, very close number 2, is Bad Boy Extreme, where it's, again, they kind of fine-tuned the original's DNA, so they made like a true extreme version of the original, where they took that cocoa powder, they took that sweetness and the aromatic tones and that kind of spicy earthiness and they made it a little bit heavier. They added a little bit more dense of a chocolate. It's a much more chocolatey version of the original, but people who didn't like the original as much still probably won't like this. I didn't like the original as much, but I do love this one, so I definitely expect you to give it a shot if you can. But to me, again, Bad Boy Cobalt Elixir and that one are the best. So now we're getting into this new one. This is Bad Boy Elixir. I don't want to show you the box because my address is on it, obviously. They have all this kind of stuff. I hate that. It gets everywhere. It's going to get all over my floors. Oh, it looks like they sent me some decants. And here is the bottle. It's Bad Boy Elixir. It looks like it's like been sitting in there for a while. Look how dusty that is. Yo, that's like super dusty. That's crazy. They must have had that ready for a while. And then they also sent me 212 VIP Men, Are You on the List? Bad Boy Cobalt Elixir, another one. And 212 Men, Heroes Forever Young. So something to try on a live stream. But let's get this open. This is Bad Boy Elixir. And I got the 50 milliliter. They also have 100 milliliter. But I had a really steep discount. And since all my other ones are 50 milliliter, I wanted to have them uniform. For instance, like this one, 50 mil. But honestly, I don't think you need 100 milliliter, especially if you're a collector. Sorry I keep bullshitting. This is really hard to open up. Actually, is my other one 100? Yeah, so this one's actually 100 milliliter, I guess. With that said, I guess I might have to return it. That's very sharp. Very sharp. They look like the same as the original, so it's not much bigger. It just looks like it's just a slightly bigger size. So it's kind of like this ambery see-through with a black gradient going down in the gold stand. They actually look really nice in the collection. Not the best atomizers, but let's give it a spray. There you go. I mean, they do have nice wide dispersal. They're almost like a better version of Paco Rabanne's. That's what my opinion is. So let's see what we're getting from this. That is really good. I'm trying to... You know what this reminds me of? It actually really reminds me of it. Boss the Scent Private Accord, but with like this spiced leather. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Boss the Scent Private Accord, but with this spiced leather just kind of sitting through it. Oh, I like that. That's very unique. It's very mass appealing. So it's not anything too rough or too edgy. It's nothing like that. It's not something that you would have to be somebody who's like really into fragrances. This could be for the everyday average Joe because it has that chocolate in it. But the leather, I did not expect there to be. I don't even remember the note breakdown, but I was not expecting leather to be in this fragrance. Okay, so that Boss the Scent Private Accord is really, it was just the opening. Because as the leather really sticks its nose in, it's sticking its nose in, and I'm getting a lot more of that than that Private Accord. But that was a very nice blast in the opening, where you got that like chocolate, but then it reminded me of the Bad Boys DNA, but it was, which is still in the Private Accord, like Boss the Scent Private Accord style, where it has that almost semi-fruity but like powdery chocolate mixed together. That's how this one opens up. I mean, I swear to God, it smells like Boss the Scent Private Accord with this spiced leather. That's what it came off to me right away. While that is starting to dissipate, the spiced leather is pulling up. So this is great. This is a great way to start the year. I mean, we just started it with the Dior Homme Parfum, which I know is very divisive, but I think it's great. I think it's great to have a universally enjoyed new release from Dior that's not going to be their everyday style, where it's like the style with the makeup-y iris and stuff like that. They're trying to actually fit the genre of the bulk of the population, not fragcom. They're trying to reach out to the everyday consumer And with that, they're doing a really good job. And I think while Bad Boy is going in the other direction because they already had the fragrances that were mass appealing and that were appeasing to that mass population, they're trying out new things. And with this one, it's the spiced leather, and it mixed together with that DNA. And I've told you guys 100 times, a lot of these companies, they don't need to change up the DNA of their really popular fragrances like Most Wanted and stuff like that. They just need to tweak it and add something in. In this case, they take the Bad Boy DNA and they add that spiced leather on top, and that's all they really needed to do to change the fragrance enough that it was unique, but also smell like a completely different fragrance and smell great. That's all they need to do. Any brand needs to do that, and that's what they're sticking to their guns, and they're doing it. I love it. Just like with Bad Boy Elixir or Cobalt Elixir, they just changed up that DNA very slightly, made it richer, darker, deeper, and it changed the complexion of the fragrance to make it seem like it was a completely different fragrance from the original Cobalt while still maintaining that same DNA. And that is what they're doing here, because you can still smell this in this, but because of that spiced leather, the chocolate, the spices, the leather, this is just a more masculine, high. It seems like it's even higher quality. It's reaching into that niche category. This is beautiful. So I'm not going to keep sniffing, telling. I'm going to give you guys about a half hour. I'm going to come back once it dries down, tell you a little bit about the dry down, and see what we get. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. And again, this is Carolina Herrera's Bad Boy Elixir. It's just gotten better. That spiced leather has edged off a bit. It has this kind of almost semi-nutty sweetness underneath it, like similar to something that you would get from like Stronger With You, absolutely. But the leather in this fragrance, it was just surprising to me. And while it's starting to dissipate, there's almost like a little bit of vanilla and some sweetness and some woods, a little bit of a smoky nuance, a little bit of almost like a nutty sweetness. You get that Bad Boy DNA underneath it that almost smells a little bit more like Boston Scent Private Accord. But I just want to simplify this for you. It smells like, if you've smelled the Bad Boy DNA, it smells like that, but a little bit more enriched. And then on top of that has the spiced leather. And then as you get further into the dry down, the spiced leather kind of mingles a bit better with the chocolatey accord, and then they kind of switch places, and then you get a little bit of this almost nutty like sweetness. It's pushing out very nicely. It has a little bit of this almost like Stronger With You oud-ish vibe in the dry down, but it's doing its own thing. So I'm just trying to give you guys ideas. It's a spiced leather version of the Bad Boy DNA. And it's a higher quality. It smells a little bit rich. And it's like a semi-gourmand spiced leather chocolatey DNA. It's getting even more masculine in the dry down. So this is gonna be one of those fragrances I'm gonna have to wear, and then come back and do my full review to really give you guys a full understanding, because I can tell the dry down's going somewhere different, but while still keeping that DNA in the background, it's definitely for those masculine fragrance lovers, especially after the first like 15 minutes. It starts to dry and get more spicy, more woody. That leather pops out, and then it kind of dissipates after about a half hour. Yeah, this is a very nice fragrance, very unique, great way to start the year. I hate that they keep calling everything Elixir, but that is Carolina Herrera's first impressions of Bad Boy Elixir. And I have to say, just based on this opening, it's up there with my second favorite. So I still like Bad Boy Cobalt Elixir better, but it's up there as far as like this style of DNA on this side of the Bad Boy line. Because to me, there's two sides, the Cobalt side and the original side. And to me, this is the best one from the original side. And both of these are on par. So definitely something you need to try. Is it something that you haven't smelled before? I mean, because of that spiced leather, yes, but the undertones, the entire DNA underneath it, you've smelled before. So it's familiar. It's just that spiced leather to add into it. You have to decide if that's enough for you. I don't see any redundancy issues, but it does smell like other things. Like I said, I can compare it to Boss's Scent Private Accord. I can compare it to any of the Bad Boy, like Bad Boy Extreme has that style of DNA underneath it. It has some nuances of the stronger with you as you get further in, but while doing its own thing, and I think it's great. I'm going to give it an 8 to an 8.2 here in the dry down. I think it's very, very nice. So that is Bad Boy Elixir. I'm not going to keep you guys here any longer. Let me know if you've tried it out, what you think. And again, I'll be back with my full review in just about a week and a half. So peace out.